Hi guys, it's Miss Burkles.
How's it going, guys? This is Mrs. Klein. We are here today with your podcast for lesson 2, which is entitled The Origins and Spread of Christianity. If you want to follow along in your history book while you're listening to the podcast, we're on page 31. Okay, just like last lesson and just like every lesson in our book, every lesson has a guiding question. This time the guiding question is,
How did Christianity originate and spread?
we also have some vocabulary words that you're going to want to know, especially when time comes for a podcast quiz. So there's a lot of them this lesson, you guys. So listen for them while we're doing our podcast. They are
Christianity, Constantine, disciple, gospel, Jesus, Messiah, missionary, parable, and resurrection.
all right, you guys, we're starting with the introduction. Here we go. In this lesson, you will discover how a new religion, Christianity, spread throughout the Roman Empire. Christianity is based on the life and teachings of Jesus, a man who lived from about 6 BCE to about 30 CE.
Several emperors attempted to cease the spread of the new religion through violent persecutions. Then, in 312 CE, the day before going into battle against a rival, the Emperor Constantine reported having a vision of a cross hanging in the sky.
The emperor interpreted the vision and dream as a sign that he would win the battle if he accepted Christian beliefs. Okay, all right. By 380 CE, Christianity was the official religion of the Roman Empire.
For section 1 on Judea, the birthplace of Christianity, we have the birthplace of Christianity was a remote territory at the eastern end of the Mediterranean Sea. Referred to as Judea by the Romans, this area had once been ruled by King David and King Solomon when it was part of the ancient kingdom of Israel.
Once an independent kingdom, Judea came under Roman rule in 63 BCE. The Romans attempted to govern the country by appointing Jewish rulers who agreed with Roman rule. In 37 BCE, Rome appointed a man named Herod to be the king of Judea.
When Herod died in 4 BCE, his kingdom was divided among his 3 sons. Once again, unrest erupted. Finally, Rome sent soldiers to Judea to regain control, and they replaced Herod's son with a military governor.
All right. In their sacred writings, the Jews read prophecies that one day God would send a savior to restore the glorious kingdom of David. This savior was called the Messiah, or the Anointed One.
Section 2, the birth of Jesus. After careful study, historians now believe that Jesus' birth occurred around 6 BCE during the reign of King Herod. Most of the information about him comes from most of the information about Jesus comes from the writings of his followers.
These writings comprise the New Testament of the Christian Bible. Among them are 4 Gospels, which are accounts of Jesus' life that were written in Greek some years after his death.
The Gospels claim an angel appeared to Mary and told her she would have a child and that she should name him Jesus. Luke's Gospel says that around this time, the Roman Emperor Augustus ordered a census. Each man was supposed to return to the town of his birth to be counted. Mary's husband, a carpenter named Joseph, set out from Nazareth to his hometown of Bethlehem in the territory of Judea. Mary traveled with him and gave birth to Jesus in Bethlehem.
All right. When Jesus was about 30, a teacher known as John the Baptist identified Jesus as the Messiah, the Savior the Jews had been waiting for. All right, we're going to move on next, you guys, to section 3 about the life and death of Jesus. Okay, according to the Gospels, Jesus began preaching in Galilee, an area in present-day Israel. Jesus called a small number to be his followers or disciples.
Jesus based his teachings on traditional Jewish beliefs. However, the Gospels claim he put special emphasis on love and mercy.
All right, one of Jesus's favorite ways of teaching was through parables, which are simple stories with a moral or religious message. Some Judeans worried that Jesus' growing following would cause trouble with the Romans.
According to the Gospels, Jesus explained that his enemies would come together to destroy him and that he would be killed. The Gospels then tell that one of Jesus' disciples, Judas, had decided to betray him.
The city's Roman rulers feared that his supporters might create trouble, and they worried that Jesus might lead a revolt. And according to the Christian Bible, Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea, ordered that Jesus be executed.
The Gospels say that 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead and then appeared to his disciples, an event Christians refer to as the resurrection.
All right, next section is the missionary work of Paul. The early converts to Christianity were Jews, just as Jesus and his disciples had been. One such convert was Paul, one of the most important people in Christianity. He devoted his life to spreading the teachings of Jesus.
Initially, he opposed Christianity and helped to persecute Christians. He saw a blinding light one day and heard the voice of Jesus, a vision that changed his life. And because of that, Paul adopted the Christian faith and became a missionary.
All right, he spent several years visiting cities throughout the Greek-speaking world. Wherever he went, he made new converts and started new churches. In his preaching and letters, Paul stressed the need to believe in Jesus as the Son of God.
For a time, Paul was imprisoned or jailed in Rome, where he continued to write letters to other Christians. Tradition says that he was beheaded by the Romans around 65 CE, a time when Romans were beginning to persecute Christian believers.
All right, last but not least, we got section 5 about Christianity spreading. By the 60s CE, Christians were beginning to attract the notice of the Romans. Initially, Rome was not unfriendly to Christians. What was another god among so many? However, Christians refused to worship the other Roman gods. Worse, they would not accept that the emperor was a god.
As the number of Christians increased, many Romans viewed them as a threat to Roman order and patriotism. Eventually, the Christian religion was declared illegal. For refusing to honor the Roman gods, Christians were sentenced to die in cruel and painful ways.
All right, instead of destroying the new religion, the Christians won new followers by facing death bravely. Gradually, people of all classes began to adopt the new faith. And in 313 CE, Constantine announced the Edict of Milan, in which he gave Christians the freedom to practice their religion openly. And by 380, Christianity was the official religion of the Roman Empire.
All right, you guys, now we have the lesson summary. So in this lesson, we learned how Christianity began and how it spread across the Roman Empire, starting with Judea, the birthplace of Christianity. Christianity began in Judea in the present-day Middle East. Jews there told prophecies about a Messiah who would remove the Romans and restore the kingdom of David.
Next up was the birth of Jesus. What is known about Jesus' life and his birth around 6 BCE comes from the 4 Gospels. Not much is known about his childhood, but when Jesus was about 30, John the Baptist presented him as the Messiah.
The life and death of Jesus. So Jesus preached with his disciples in present-day Israel, emphasizing love and mercy, and often teaching in parables. His teachings angered some. In his early 30s, the Romans executed Jesus by crucifixion. According to the Christian Bible, 3 days later, he arose from the dead and appeared to his disciples, who began to spread his teachings.
All right, next up was the missionary work of Paul. According to the New Testament, Paul of Tarsus persecuted Christians. But after Paul reported a vision, he became an important Christian missionary, spreading the religion around the empire. His letters to early churches remain part of the Christian Bible.
Christianity spreads. The new religion survived harsh persecution and spread across the Roman Empire. In 313 CE, the Emperor Constantine gave Christians freedom of religion in the Edict of Milan. It was the official Roman religion by 380.
All right, you guys, so just a reminder, we had that guiding question this time, which was how did Christianity originate and spread, which you should be able to answer after listening to the podcast. And then don't forget, we've got some vocabulary terms that you're going to want to be familiar with for our podcast quiz. They are
Christianity, Constantine, disciple, gospel, Jesus, Messiah, missionary, parable, and resurrection.
All right, you guys, later.
Take care.